Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I am Molly and I do book content here on YouTube. So this is actually a refilm. I filmed this, I don't know, this time last week. And I didn't get to edit or upload it. Been a bit of a weird weekend. So and basically I've decided to refilm it because there were just some things I did. There was information I got wrong. There more books that I've added. There's more readathons that I've added. So I just like, I'm just gonna refilm it. And we're just gonna have to deal with that. So let's see if the second time actually works. So I'm going to preface, there may be more books at the end for April's wrap up. We're doing April's TBR. There may be books from my March that I add on to April. I'm not 100% sure yet because they are just optional, so I might do them, I might not. It depends because my TBR for me is quite big, so we shall see. But I'm just going to get straight into it because I am using the last of the light in the evening. It was quite sunny because of the sun setting, but now it's basically gone, so hopefully I don't need to turn any lights on. I hope. Fingers crossed. So yeah, let's get on with my TBR. So I'm gonna start with my challenges and I'll tell you what books I'm using. And just go from there. So for Chantel's Read a Book Self Challenge, April is to have a title that includes a conjunction. That's words like for, and, or, because, words like that. There's a load of them, but I'm not going to say them all. I did in the original video, but I'm not going to this time. I'm quite tired. So I have a few options for this one. So I've got The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by Seuss-Along because of the word and, that is an option. And then the next option is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. This is book 4 in Harry Potter series. So those are my two options for that one. I'm not sure which I'll get to, but one of those will be used for Chantel's. Then for Book Nerd Catery, it's the Christian Fiction Challenge. I only have a couple of options for this. So the first one is obviously The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. And this could be hyped because it's very popular on Christian BookTube especially. Fantasy because it's fantasy. Popular author, I could do that again for C.S. Lewis. And I could kind of do new author. I have read Mere Christianity, but it's the only book that I've read of C.S. Lewis, and that's his non-fiction. So it's whether you want to count the fiction as a new author sort of one, I don't know. But I could also use it for one of the other ones, so it's not an issue. And then the other option that I could use is Christian Fiction. It's The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I could do this for multiple prompts as well. Similar to C.S. Lewis, really. Fantasy, hyped, new author, because I actually haven't read J.R.R. Tolkien. So that definitely could be used for that one. So yeah, I've got those. And then I also have A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. This is book 1 in the Mark of the Lion trilogy. And this I could also use for maybe romance. There's not really any actual romance in this book. It's a reread. But there is going to be romance, and there's certainly feelings involved, but there's no actual relationship. But also I could just use this for like historical or popular author. So I've got a couple of options. So I've got those, and then I also have The Broken Branch by Erin Mangum, and again I could use this for new author. Romance, I think. Probably just those, maybe 5-star prediction. So I've got a few books and a few prompts that I can use. Then the next one is Cheryl from Candlewick Library and her reading challenge, which is the Jurassic reading challenge. And for April, it's Mistaken Identity. Now this is the one I struggled with, and I have a couple of options that I could possibly go for. So one of them is A Spoonful of Murder by Robin Stevens, because it's a murder mystery for young kids, like middle grade. So it's very possible there could be mistaken identity in this, in terms of, figuring out who the murderer is and stuff like that. So I don't know if that is true, but it's a possibility in this sort of genre. Then the next one is also from a similar genre. This is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is the one that I think is more likely to fit mistaken identity, because it's about a carer who goes to look after this old woman who is paralysed and in a wheelchair and mute, and basically people think that this woman murdered her whole family, and we basically basically this woman tells the main character that she wants to tell her everything. So it could be that she is the murderer, or it could be a case of mistaken identity or something like that. So this is probably the more plausible option. Again, I don't know. So yeah, those are the only ones I think would fit, but I don't know, and neither of them might, so it might end up being that I don't complete this prompt. I'm not sure. And then with Anne from In Search of Wonders challenge for reading the classics, April is reading a memoir or biography. And you have the added option of looking for specifically an American memoir or biography of an American. That's obviously a classic. I haven't picked a book, either American or otherwise, for any of those, because I'm not sure. I am thinking I'm leaning towards 12 Years a Slave. Can't remember who the author is. So I might pick that, but I might not. So I don't know yet, but we'll have to see about that one. The next one is Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails and her Read with Winnie the Pooh challenge. I've been doing this, as in doing as many as I can in each month. So I may get to something, I may not. But the ones I have left are a character who has to do with food, Grumpy Sunshine, and a book you had to put on hold, so like a library book. So those are my options, and we'll see if I get to any of those. Then we have Alma from Alma's Book Journey and her Journey Through Time historical fiction challenge, and April is to read a book that's set at sea. Doesn't have to be the whole time, but as long as there is actually on page travelling on the sea sort of thing. And the option I have picked is A Spoonful of Murder by Robin Stevens, because this is book 6 in the Murder Most Unladylike series, and in this book, Hazel, one of the main characters, her grandfather passes away, and so they have to travel to Hong Kong to go to his funeral. And so basically I'm hoping that they're travelling by boat, because this is set in the 1930s, I think, something like that, and so they are travelling there by boat, and so I'm hoping there's at least one scene where there's boat travel. So otherwise I'm going to have to see what I can do about that if it doesn't fit the prompt, but that's what I've picked. The next one is Oshina from Oshina Reads Co. and her Read Christian Romance challenge, and again I'm not sure what prompts, and and there's more than one book. So I have A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. I could use this for over 350 pages, although I think I may have done that already. I can't remember. But there's reread, which is probably the most likely option because I've read this before. But obviously this would also fit for prompts like biblical, dual POV, because although there's technically more than 2, in a series it would also fit, but I might have already done that one. And that's it. But for romance, I also have as a probable option is The Broken Branch by Erin Mangum, and this could be a new author for me. Pink on the cover because there's a lot of pink. Wanted to read, definitely an option. Those I know for definite. I don't know if it's dual POV or not, but if it is, that would also be an option. But yeah, those are my 2 Christian romance options. Again, not sure what prompts or books. The next one is Kat from Cat Stories and her Biblical Reading and Retelling Challenge. And for April, the prompt is Gospel. And I have decided that I want to read the Gospel of Mark in my Bible. And it will be my dad's Bible, which is the King James Version, if you are interested. We also have, going back to Oshina because I forgot, her Fancy Rivers read-along. And I'm sure because there's only one Fancy Rivers book on my TBR that I've mentioned. The April one is A Voice in the Wind. So that's the one I'm going to hopefully do for that one. Okay, and that is the end of my yearly challenges. Now, we do have some readathons that I'm joining in with, so I'm going to talk about those as well. Okay, so the first one is the Spring into the Classics readathon by Sarah Collar. And I made a mistake. So when I originally filmed this, I had asked her whether we can double up. And, well, technically you can. I asked because I forgot something very important. I thought this was only for the month of April. I then saw people talking about how it's, April and May. And I was like, oh no. So I went to rewatch her video announcing the readathon. And obviously they were right. It was April and May, so I completely forgot that. I apologise, Sarah, because I didn't actually have to ask about doubling up, because if it's 2 months, I wouldn't need to. So I'm sorry, Sarah, about that one. So yeah, the Spring into the Classics readathon is for April and May. And as the title suggests, it's about reading classics. And there are 5 prompts, one of which is not a reading prompt. So the prompts are to read a children's classic, read a classic novel or novella, reread a classic story, watch a classic adaptation, and to read a classic fable or fairy tale. So, I don't know if I'll get to all these in this month. I'm not necessarily planning to. But I'm thinking, because it's over a couple of months, I'm thinking maybe do 2 each time, because only one of them is obviously to watch an adaptation. So I'm thinking for the reading prompts, I'll just do 2 for each month. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to go with the first 2, which is read a children's classic and to read a classic novel / novella. And actually, I could double up with those because I have The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, which is technically the first book in the Narnia series. I know there is a prequel, but this was the first published. Obviously, this is a children's classic, and it's very short. It's the size of a novella, so I could use it for both. If I can, though, I am thinking I will read this for the children's classic and read The Hobbit for J.R.R. Tolkien for the classic novel. Now, I know it's not a novella size. It's not big, but it's bigger. It'll be bigger than the novella because normally they're about, I think, under 200 pages. Yeah, it's 200. The actual Hobbit book is 282 pages. So yeah, it's not a novella size, but it's definitely a novel. So I could use that for the second prompt. Otherwise, if I don't have time, I'll either spread it and obviously include it into May, or I will just use this one for both prompts. I'm not sure yet. So yeah, those are my picks for April. I do want to say I don't know about the classic adaptation, mainly because I don't know if the adaptation has to be a classic as well. So like not set, but like filmed and, you know, released in the same sort of eras as the classics, not in terms of the actual books, but like, you know, like, I don't know, The Wizard of Oz, like that was filmed in like the 50s, so that would be a classic film. So like, does it have to be a classic film as well, or just a adaptation based on a classic book? But it doesn't have to be from the 50s or older. It can be from like modern day, like Emma, you know, with Anna Taylor-Joy, or, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow. Like, none of those are technically classics in terms of the films, but obviously the books are. So let me know, Sarah, because you might have said this already, like with the months, and I just didn't take it in. I don't know, but just let me know. And then the Fable fairy tale, I'm thinking I might use my Brothers Grimm book collection that I have, but I don't know if the books, the fairy tales or fables, have to be famous ones that everyone knows, you know, like, I don't know, Red Riding Hood is a Brothers Grimm one, or Hansel and Gretel, or whether I can do it for more obscure ones. Again, let me know, because I can do both, because they have both in them, but I'm not quite sure. So let me know, Sarah, for those. That'd be great. Thanks. So yeah, that is Sarah's Spring into Classics readathon. The next one is the Read Happy readathon, and this was created by Em from Em's Books Are Everywhere, and she has some co-hosts, and they are Lucy from the Lucy Chronicles, Jeanette from Jane Reads, and Alma from Alma's Book Journey. And this is a very easy one. It's obviously to read happy books type of thing. There's 9 prompts, although 8 if you don't want to include the free space, but that is one of them. And it's all, you know, about happy things, happy books, and very easy, like you can double up. She said you can have one book to fit all of them, for example, if that's possible. So I'm joining in with that one as well. And the prompts are cozy setting, beautiful scenery, delicious food, kindred spirit, free space, community, pet companion, favourite hobby, and happy ending. And she said you can kind of interpret all of these prompts however you like. So it, for example, a favourite hobby, it could be your own favourite hobby, or it could be a character's favourite hobby, or it could be about a favourite hobby, sort of thing. So you can kind of, you know, do it however you like. And I have found the perfect book that fits every single one of these prompts. And it's kind of funny because of the theme of it, of the book. I have a little phrase that I thought up of, and I got really excited about it because it kind of fits with the book. So the book that I chose is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This fits every prompt. And what's really funny is, if any of you know the Lord of the Rings stuff, you know there's I don't know what you would call it, it's a phrase, basically, a very famous one about, about the different rings, and that there's one ring to rule them all. And I was just thinking, I picked this one book for all 9 of these prompts, and so basically I have the one book to fit them all, like to fit all the prompts. And I don't know why that really tickles me. But I wanted to read this because I'll be happy to get it off my TBR as well. And also, I like fantasy. It's kind of cozy sort of vibes for me. Even if there's a lot of non-cozy subjects. And obviously, if any of you know anything about this series, this is a prequel to the Lord of the Rings series. So obviously, you know that at least, one or more of the characters will survive, and I call that a happy ending. So yeah, and I'll be really happy because I'll get to actually have read this. I've been wanting to read this for ages. So, and also the fact that it fits every single prompt also makes me really happy. That has never happened to me in a readathon before, so that's amazing. Usually there's a couple or 3 prompts that I can't fit with one book, so I'm very, very happy about that. So this is on my TBR for the Read Happy readathon. And then we have a kind of interactive sort of readathon, and this readathon was created and hosted by Ben and Lauren from Young's and the Restless, and their readathon is Follow the Yellow Book Road, and I'm sure, as you can tell from the phrase, it's based on Wizard of Oz. And they have some co-hosts with them. They have Jen from Bookish Blonde, Wanda from Wanda Holden, Lindsay from Lindsay's Little Library, Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand, and Amber from Books and Beaches. And I completely forgot, I could have checked this with me refilming this. Each of the YouTubers have a specific character that they pick prompts for that kind of fit in with what you know of those characters. So, you know, the Cowardly Lion, the Wicked Witch, the popular main characters. And so I forgot to write down who each one is doing the characters for, so I apologise. I literally had the chance to do that because I'm refilming this, but I completely forgot. So what I said in my original video is that I will write down who each YouTuber is for the characters. A couple of them I do know the characters for, so I will mention those, but the rest of them I don't know, and I forgot to check. That's my own fault, so sorry about that. But this goes on for the whole of April as well, and each character has 3 prompts, and you can either do 1 prompt for each character, or you can do 2 or all 3, or mix and match for each character. It's entirely up to you. As far as I know, you can also double up. I didn't check, but some of my books can definitely double up with some of these prompts. So let's get into it. So the first character is the Cowardly Lion, and the Cowardly Lion is Lauren and Ben's character that they picked prompts for from the Youngs and the Restless. And their prompts are I do believe in spooks, I do, and that is to read a book that scares you, and that could be interpreted however. It could be page count, topic, whatever. And then the next one is If I Only Had the Nerve, and that is to read a book that has a hero character or a character who faces adversity. And then the last prompt is King of the Jungle, and that is to have an animal on the cover or an animal as a character. And I decided to pick one book, and to be honest, it fits 2 out of the 3 prompts, but I'm mainly using it for the first one, which is a book that scares you, and that is A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers, and I picked it for that because of the page count. But also it does have a character who faces adversity, so it also counts for that. Then we have Scarecrow, and that is Lindsay's character from Lindsay's Little Library, and the prompts are If I Only Had a Brain, a book that makes you think, Stuffed with Knowledge, read a non-fiction that teaches you new things, and then Friends Along the Yellow Brick Road, and that is a book with a strong friendship or a best friend duo. And the one I picked for that one is, again, something that fits for 2 prompts again, and that is A Spoonful of Murder by Robin Stevens. This is a murder mystery, so it would count for a book that makes you think, but the main reason I picked this one is for a book with a strong friendship / best friend duo, because the main 2 are best friends and they have a strong friendship. So fits. Then we have Glinda, and I can't remember who this YouTuber is, so I will make sure to write it down so then you know who they are. And the prompts for Glinda are popular, you're going to be popular, and that is a hyped / book talk famous / bestseller book. And then the next one is Arrive in Style, and that is a stunningly beautiful cover. And then Goodness but Make It Powerful, and that is a book with a hopeful, uplifting or emotionally warm tone. And I have a few books that would fit a few of these prompts, but the main one I picked for this is The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis for the hyped book because it's very famous. So I'm going for that one. The next character is the Tin Man, and again I can't remember who the YouTuber is, and so I will write their name down. And the prompts are A Book with Heart, and that is a book that focuses on emotions, found family, friendship, love or personal growth. Bolts, Gears and Loyalty, a strong friendship, found family or unwavering loyalty. And then From Rust to Renewal, a book about healing, transformation or second chances. And the book I have picked is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling, mainly for the friendship prompts, which fits most of these. So, yeah. And then the next one is The Wicked Witch, and again, can't remember who they are, and I'll put their name down. And the options, well, the prompts are Green with Envy, and that is a green cover, or a book that deals with jealousy or rivalry. I'm Melting, Water Element, and that could be on the cover, in the title, the setting, so you can kind of interpret it how you want with that one. And then I'll Get to My Pretty, and that is a villain main character. And the book I picked fits a few prompts. There's also another book I could have used, A Spoonful of Murder, is green in real life, but it's that sort of like turquoisey, bluey green, so it does look green. But the main prompt for green cover, but the main book I'm going for is The Only One Left by Riley Sager, mainly for the water element because on the cover there is water of some sort. It's very possible it would also fit for villain main character, but I'm not sure, because from what I could tell it was only the main character who is the carer, not the supposed villain who is the mass murderer, apparently. So I don't think it counts for that one, but certainly for water element. And then the last one is The Wizard, and that is, again, I can't remember who the YouTuber is, so I'll write them down. And the options, the prompts are Hot Air Balloon, and that is a book that has a quest or journey. Smoke and Mirrors, a character presenting something other than they actually are. So, you know, kind of self-explanatory, you know, character isn't who they seem to be, and who, you know, maybe puts on a false front sort of thing. And then the last prompt for The Wizard is Emerald City, and that is a jewel, gem or metal on the cover. And so the book I picked for that one is mainly for quest or journey, and I picked The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien because obviously they're going on a journey. So that's those ones. The next one is, well, another readathon. Shocking, I know. And this one is also being hosted by Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails. And this one is the 2026 Seuss-Along. So I think it's to do with the anniversary of Dr. Seuss books. I can't remember what it is. I can't remember what it was that Katie said, but basically she saw something about Dr. Seuss and wanted to do a readathon based on that. So yeah, You could double up. It's for the whole month of April. So I will tell you the prompts. So the first one is a person's a person no matter how small, and that is a short story or novella. And again, I will probably use The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe because short story novella. It just takes one yawn to start other yawns off, and that is a hyped book. And I have a few. Again, I have The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I've also got Hobbit. I would say that's quite hyped. Harry Potter is obviously a very popular series, so I would call that hyped. And then also A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers, because she's a hyped. No, maybe not her. It's more that she's a hyped author. But also this is a very popular series, so I could possibly use that. But maybe not actually. The next one is green. Do you like green eggs and ham? And the prompt is a green cover. And well, actually I have two options for that. Actually, I didn't realise. Again, Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, because it is, at least for me, it's very green. Very green toned as well, so I could use that. But the main one I was thinking of is A Spoonful of Murder by Robin Stevens, because again, it looks more green in person. It looks more blue on camera, and that'll be because it's a turquoisey green, so that'll be why. But yeah, this is my main one for that one. The next one is Here is Lots of New Blue Goo Now, and that is a new release. Now this one I haven't picked because I don't keep up with them, so that one is going to have to be something I will tell you later on, either when I'm editing or more likely during my wrap up, so stay tuned for that one. The next one is Tweedle Beetle Puddle Paddle Battle, and that is alliteration in the title, and I decided to go for The Broken Branch by Erin Mangan because Broken Branch makes sense. And then the next one is You Can Steer Yourself Any Direction You Choose, and that is a mood read. And that one is going to be Recorder, and I can't remember who the author is, but I'll put a picture up because it's going to be an audiobook. And this is actually going to be a buddy read with Katie herself, the host of this readathon. We're actually going to read the series because it is a series, and it's a sci-fi, Christian sci-fi. So it'll be really interesting because I've been wanting to read it for a while because it sounds interesting, and the covers are amazing. So that is my mood read for the readathon. And then the last prompt is With a Cup and a Cake on the Top of My Hat, and that is a activity prompt, and that is to make a snack or drink inspired by your read. And I don't know what that could be. I honestly don't know. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'll do for that one yet. We'll have to see. But yeah, that's that one anyway. So that is all of my books and readathons. That was a lot. I've got a lot to go through. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, slightly terrified by my TBR, but it's probably, for me personally, it's probably more of a pile of possibilities. But yes, those are all my books. I don't think there's going to be anything else. As I said, I don't know if I'll add anything on from March. With the size of my TBR, I'm reluctant to do so. So we'll see. But otherwise, that is all I have to say, to be honest. Thank you for watching. Are you joining in with any of these readathons? I know a lot of people wanted to do the Read Happy one, at least a lot of the people I watch anyway. So are you going to do that one? Are there other readathons that I've not mentioned that you're going to do? I think there have been some that I've heard that I will be joining in with. Let me know. Are you going to read any of these books? Have you read any of these books? Let me know. And yes, thank you so much for watching. I love you all. God bless. And yeah, that's it. Bye.